Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Airgun Expo 2025. One of the awesome things about doing this show is that we get to play with airguns that I have not played with yet. This is an example of one of those airguns. This is the Ibex 2. This is provided by New England Airgun. Now, John, he had to take off because he's got to fly back home and he left this with me. Do you think he's going to get it back? Yeah, we'll see about that. Before we get started, though, I want to thank you guys for joining us here at Airgun Expo 2025. I want to thank all of our sponsors. You can check them out at the website, theairgunexpo.com. You can also go to gatewaytoairguns.org, check out the forum. You can go to gatewaytoairguns.com, see all of our content there, and AirgunWeb.com, see all of our content there, and learn about what we do and all the folks that help us do it. We also want to especially thank, and I don't know if you can see it in the shop, but we have our Patreon members and our Officers Club members. Links to all of that will be in the video description. So big, huge thank you to everybody that helps us do what we do here. One of our big sponsors that has been a sponsor for probably 10, 12 years at least is Hawke Optics. So today is Hawke Optics Day. And we're going to be mounting this bad boy on this airgun. This is the Hawke Airmax Sidewinder 30, no, excuse me. Hawke Airmax 30 wide angle side focus. There we go. They have some different lines. If you go to hawkeoptics.com, or I think it's, is it hawke.com or Hawke? I think it's hawkeoptics.com. Hawkeoptics.com. You're going to see their Vantage line, their Airmax line, their Sidewinder line, their Frontier line. They may still have the Endurance line. All of these different lines or classes of airgun or of scopes, some suitable for airguns, more so than others. The Airmax is one of those scope lines that is really designed specifically for airguns. It is it's what a lot of the shooters actually use over in the UK. They love the Airmax and also the Sidewinder. Sidewinder is awesome too. So today we're taking this Airmax scope, which looks like a big boy, doesn't it? It looks pretty stout. We're going to mount this on our Ibex. Now, the Ibex 2, we'll talk about that a little bit. I have not put this over a Crony, so I actually don't know what we're getting for power, but we'll do that here in a little bit because our next segment is going to be looking at this Ibex 2 and also the Ibex, both from New England Airgun. We've got some cool accessories with the Airmax. It comes with a big chunkin' side wheel, so if you want to run it, you can. We'll see if it works because this mag, I believe, will go in either way. So we can actually load it from the right, which means we might be able to use our side wheel. I have not used one of those in so long because a lot of times the mags load from the right, or excuse me, from the left, and they get in the way. So we'll see if that works. But here is our optic. That is the Airmax. Side focus, it's illuminated. It'll have an etched glass reticle. This is a 4-16. It comes in all different sizes as far as magnification ranges. This has got the AMX reticle. It's super clear, and this is not first focal plane. So this one is your second focal plane. So the reticle stays still and your field of view moves. So if you wanted to, I would actually use this for target shooting. If you wanted to hunt, you could like maybe set this on 10 and then do all your ranging and then just don't change the magnification, you'd be good to go. Or if you wanted to hunt with one of these, they also make it in a first focal plane. So you have that as an option. Comes with a sunshade. Comes with a book and a cloth and extra batteries. Let's see if the IRs, the illumination's working. It is. So the battery is good in this bad boy. Okay. It is not going to work for us out here in this bright sunlight, but at dusk, like it's still legal to shoot, right? If you're hunting, but it's dark. You've got dark reticle on a dark target. Just crank that illumination on, and it helps you see what you're shooting. Very, very cool. Hawke sent us some rings, so we'll go ahead and use these. This has a nice rail and some distance here. Sometimes even their high rings on the 50 mil scopes aren't quite high enough if there's any sort of rise here. So maybe sometimes you have to go look for something a little bit taller, but these should work just fine on this gun. Okay.
Would you let me know when you want me to zoom in?
You can go ahead and switch. We're going to kind of make that camera one, that camera like picture-in-picture.
Okay, I'm going to need to change. Oh, no, that's fine.
That work? Okay.
Actually, no, I'm going to need to change the location of the picture-in-picture.
Okay.
Because you're going to put the scope on there.
Yep. Okay. So I'm not quite sure where this is going to space out, but I'm going to put the first mount right about here. And if we need to move it, we will. When you're mounting this, mounting these, or mounting a scope, you don't need to crank it down right away. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know if this is going to be the final resting place of this mount. So we'll just get it started. I've been doing a lot of scope mounting on our channel. So if you are used to this and it's like, Rick, this is old school, well, I appreciate you hanging out anyway. But if this is new to you, maybe this will be useful. Okay. When you're picking your mounts, you're going to want to make sure you get the right mount. So this has a 30 mil tube, so make sure that you're getting 30 mil mounts. That's the space here. And also, this is a slotted rail or a Weaver or Picatinny. There are some variations, so make sure you're getting the right one. So I believe Picatinny will work on Weaver, but Weaver may not work on Picatinny. Like Picatinny is more universal. I believe that's how it works. If I have it backwards, I'm sure somebody out there will tell me.
Hey, babe.
Yes.
Can you move your left hand so that it's not covering everything?
Sure, sure. So I can.
Because when you're pointing at stuff, we can't see it.
Wait,
yeah.
This is unhelpful?
Yes, very unhelpful.
All right. I'll try not to do that.
You got big hands, babe.
Oh, thank you, honey. I think you mean fat hands, but okay, whatever. So I've got 30 mil rings. What I meant. 30 mil rings, and I've got it's for the slotted rail. So if you have a dovetail, make sure you get the right mounts. Sometimes if you buy scopes like online, they'll come with rings, and maybe your airgun has got a dovetail and not slotted rail, and you go try and put them on, and they don't fit and don't work. That's really frustrating. So make sure you have the right rings. Again, Hawke has all kinds of great rings for your air guns and your scopes. That might be just about right. What we're going to have to check is our eye relief, right? This does have an adjustable cheek piece, so if I need it a little bit higher, we're good to go. We have a lot of clearance here. We might have could have gone with a little bit lower rings, maybe, but I'm going to go with these.
What do you mean by that about clearance?
Okay, so you see, you can just look at the camera. You see this distance right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens is this is my plane of sight.
Yeah.
This is my bore, right?
Yeah.
So that means that's what I'm shooting.
Okay.
Okay, so if I am looking at a target and I have to adjust the scope, what am I creating here?
Yeah, okay.
I'm creating a triangle.
Yeah.
So that triangle means, so if that's straight, I'm actually doing this number. So my barrel's actually doing this, or my shot. The closer I can get these two together, the less of an angle I have to overcome. Okay, so that is kind of, that's why personally, let me back up. Bullpups, ARs. You notice how this cheek weld is...
Okay, hold on, let me put it back.
The cheek weld... Get it right, woman. The cheek weld here is below the bore. You see that?
Yep.
Okay, on an AR, they're equal. On a bullpup, sometimes this is above it. So if this barely gives me enough eye relief, what happens when you go to an AR or bullpup?
Yeah.
You're creating more and more and more and more angle, right? Which is fine if you're shooting at 50 yards, right? And you're like dialed in, great. But what happens when you go to shoot at 75 yards and that shot's maybe still going up? Now your shot, it can be very challenging, right? To get the right holdover or hold under based on distance. So there's all kinds of things you can do to help mitigate that, minimize it and whatever. The best way, if the gun allows for it, is just get as close to the bore as you can. So you're shrinking that angle, okay?
Thank you.
So we have some gap here. We could go with lower rings. I tend to just run high rings, but we definitely probably could go mediums on these. But anyway, this is what we got. We're gonna go with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these on top. Now Hawke uses a scope tape. I don't know if you can see that in that camera.
Yes.
So there's like a tape in here and it actually cushions and holds the scope. So you don't have to ratchet it down so tight.
It looks like it's grooved or like a fabric, is it?
Yeah, it is actually like a fabric. Okay. And it's sticky. So once it clamps, it actually has some goo and it can actually glue the scope in place.
So you want to make sure you get it right before you
you don't want to crank it down. Once you crank it down, it sort of gets set. And when you take your scope off, oftentimes you take the scope out of the rings and you're having to peel that off and it shreds and it's no longer
mess.
useful. Yeah. And I really wish they just sell that, but they do not. So you could replace it in your rings, right? That would be really nice. When we're shooting here on this gun, this is going to have a little bit of a push recoil, but should not be terrible. So what I mean by that is you're not really going to have to crank it to hold the scope still. So I'm going to put these screws in just to get sort of basically set. And I'm not going to put any real pressure on them because I'm going to need to adjust the scope. I'm going to need to be, sorry, my hand's in the way, and again, wasn't it? I was like blocking it. I don't want you to see. We set the camera up for you not to see it. Okay.
Sounds about right.
Oops. Well, I don't think we've done like this kind of a setup before because we've never had this middle section. We'll have to like get some shots of everything and then Cheryl can maybe pop them in the videos or whatever. But we started off the first time we had one tent going this way. And then the next one we had two going this way. And then this year we added a third and it has been really nice.
Hey, where's your orange phone?
In my pocket.
Can I have it?
You can have it. Reset my password again. I don't want you looking at my phone. I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
Ignore those texts.
Who's Sheila?
I was just gonna say something like that. All right, let's moving right along here. So I'm not putting any tension on these screws yet. When I do, we're gonna screw them in diagonally so that we're not putting too much pressure on any one half or one side. And we go down slowly with them. Okay, so I can still move it. Okay, let's see what we got here. So if you want, Sue.
Yeah.
If you want, she's taking pictures. Let's go back to this as the main camera.
Okay.
For a couple minutes.
Okay.
Oh, we also need to check if our mag clears. That is one reason you do need to also check. I'm sorry, go back to that as our main camera. You see the gap here?
Yes, I do.
So
That's
we have a big,
way less gap.
Exactly. So if I went with lower rings, this may clear, but the mag may not.
Yeah.
You got to check all that stuff out when you're putting this stuff on.
If you move the scope forward, which for you it may not work that way, you may not want to move it forward.
If the bell...
But if you could, then it may not be a problem, right?
This turret section, I don't know what this is called. I think that's the bell.
Turret.
But this turret section here, if this was not right over the magazine, wouldn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But because it is, and I think it's going to line up that way for me to be able to see properly and clearly, you're going to need that clearance. So again, these are things you have to consider. Remember, high rings. If I went medium rings, this may not actually clear. I have the clearance here, but I may not have the clearance here.
So in order to, I'm talking as a complete novice, okay? Novice is right?
Yeah, noob, novice, whatever.
Noob. Yeah, that's me. If I were to buy that gun and I wanted to put a scope on it, how would I know which rings to get for that particular gun?
Well, really, some of the early mistakes I made in buying air guns was I didn't know what was right. And I bought the wrong things and I got it in and I couldn't use it. Now, that's where, she did not plan this, but let me just say this. This was not a setup. But when you buy from a company like New England Airguns, they should be able to kind of make sure that doesn't happen, right? So if you let them know, hey, I'm brand new at this, I need to make sure the scope's going to mount. Heck, I think they charge a nominal fee to just mount it for you. They'll mount it and bore sight it for you so that you get it in a pretty much ready to go and fine tune it for yourself condition. So
that's nice.
I mean nominal. When I say nominal, way cheaper than it would cost that I would charge for doing it. I mean like really nominal. I don't want to say it'd be wrong, but it's under $50 for sure. So they will mount and they will bore sight it for you. So that is something I think is just worth it. So check that out. But a company that's selling you the gun, if you go through a company versus doing it yourself just on Amazon or something, you're probably going to get some help. Which if you're new, get help. Get help. Spend the extra money, help us support a local business. And then when you get the gun, it's probably going to work a lot better than if you try and do it yourself just to save a buck and then wind up not enjoying your opportunity to go out and shoot. That really stinks. When I first started, a couple of things that always hung me up because I didn't know any better, scope rings, right? Mm-hmm. And also fill probes. Like this gun, fortunately, right? You can probably see that on the camera, has a fill nipple. Mm-hmm. So that's a standardized Foster fitting. That's like, you know, I wish more folks did that. And Evanix doesn't do it across all their guns, but they do it on this one. But you'd get your gun in, you'd go to fill it up, and it had a probe, but there was no end on the probe. You're like, it's threaded. I don't have a connect. So now you're waiting 4 or 5 days to be able to fill it. That's much less of a problem today than it was back then. But again, going through a dealer, well, you can mitigate a lot of that if you just let them know, hey, I'm brand new, please help me get this set up so it's good to go out of the box. All right, do I want to run the sunshade? I don't think I need it.
What's a sunshade?
It's this little guy here. If I put the sunshade off, I got to take the scope caps off. And I don't think they transfer to the front. Let me see.
So how would you take the scope caps off?
Actually, I lie. We're going to do it. So these scope caps, thank you. Dakota asked me a question. I've got these little tools.
Hold on. Okay.
Okay. Those
are little tools?
Those are little tools to take these metal caps off.
Okay.
Let me flip it. Let me turn it towards you a little bit.
Yeah, that would be great.
How about that?
Can you?
How's that? A little better?
I don't know. Let's see.
See that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so these slide in here.
Okay, can't see exactly where you're sliding it, but we can see it's at the
All
front
right,
of
so
the scope.
there's little notches, right? And then this, there we go.
So you need a little strength to do that.
It's on there. Now this comes off. And it looks like they did thread the sunshade, so they thought of that. So this goes here, like this. But before I put that on, I know it's going to be easier for me to put this on here. Okay. I say that. And the reason they do it like this is that you don't know exactly what angle you're going to want this shade. So you may want to adjust it and spin it. There we go. I don't want to cross thread it, right? Which is what I was doing. Hold on, give me just a minute. I may need to set it on the table, which you can't see it. Oh, maybe. Can you see that, or is it out of frame?
Yeah, I can see it on camera 1.
Okay. I know Hawke's going to watch this and it's like going, Rick, what are you doing? It's so much easier if you just do it this way. I'm like, sorry. Maybe close the lid. Yeah, that actually works pretty good. There it is. Oh, I almost had it. As you can hear, there's an awful lot of metal going on there. So, not a cheap product in the sense of cheaply constructed. So now we're going to just screw this on.
Oh, now the picture-in-picture's a little big because it's blocking your hand. Can you move the gun? No, you can't really move it backwards. There you go.
So now that is on, and if I want to get this centered a little bit, I can center that so that it's up and down even, and then to lock it in, we use our tool and lock it in. So what happens, much like we're here shooting, at 9 o'clock we have sun in the shooting area, but by 10 or 11 it's perfectly cool to shoot. This is just like having a gazebo for your scope. It stops the sun from hitting the objective directly, and it gives you, because your focal plane is way out here, but it just stops the sun from hitting it. So it's like a sunshade for your scope. And there's another one of these little tools. This little baby goes back here. And then I can, once I have it, the reason you're going to do this, and we'll talk about the settings, is I'll need to adjust the reticle focus. And once that is turned and adjusted, you adjust this and lock it down so it flips up top. So that way you don't have like that or this getting in the way or in a bad position. Everybody getting that?
I believe so.
Everybody's got the nods going. Okay. Okay, so this is very loose. It won't fall off, but it's very loose. Let's see if it's going to be in a good shooting position. Now, I'm going to set the scope to the lowest power. Yes?
From my angle, it looks like it's cocked to the left.
Oh, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
First thing I'm going to adjust is the spacing from my eye to the
relief.
scope, and
Okay.
then I'll adjust angle.
So you're going to pick it up?
I am. I'm going to look at that camera right there.
Okay.
That is really nice. Okay, so I'm probably going to raise the cheek piece up, but that is good. Now, what I want to do, it's heavy, one-handed. Okay, what I want to do is zoom it all the way in and see how that eye relief is. At 4 power or low power, the eye relief is very forgiving. When you zoom all the way in, you need to be far more accurate with your position. So I have a little bit of a gap here. So we're going to raise the stock. I think we can do that easily. Let's see. Let us see. We have 2 holes here, and we're going to use an Allen wrench. Is it the same size I've been using? Where did it go? It's hiding it. Smaller. Go to 2.5. You can't see this. I'm sorry. Bigger? Oh, really smaller. All right, so 2 mil. Okay.
Now you're adjusting the cheek piece, right?
Right,
or
so
cheek
that,
weld or
yes,
whatever you call it.
it's the cheek piece, so that my space, when I go to shoulder the gun and I get my cheek up against here, down here there's a gap. Part of, I think, one of the issues I've learned, and I don't know how we'll solve, when we were doing It's All About the Shooter, I've talked to this camera, All About the Shooter, is everybody may have a different cheek weld, so that reticle may float just a little bit, just enough. At 50 yards, you don't need much. You do not need much to have your shot be left down, upright, whatever. So what we want to do is try and make this as consistent as possible. So I want to get a consistent cheek weld every time. If I'm floating and I'm not putting my cheek on this to get that, then my shots are not going to be as accurate. So I want to raise this a little bit. I had a little bit of a gap there, so I'm going to raise it to here. Lock it in. What do you guys think of the stock? I think it's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. I prefer wood stock anyway.
I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I bet you I have some people here that might could figure out how to sling it.
Yeah, yes, we can.
I already got the affirmative. So that would be fun. This would be a long gun to sling, but you could.
Is it heavy?
It's not as heavy as it looks. I don't think it's as heavy as it looks. You can certainly, Sue wants to do some shooting later, so we can definitely let her shoot this. This is a 45.
Imagine that.
Yeah, this is a 45, so it's going to be fun to shoot. It's going to have some noise and have some impact. Let me see here.
I'm sorry to ask this because you probably mentioned it, but what is the gun?
That is really, okay, that is nice. Okay, that's better. This is the Evanix Ibex 2. This is a new gun for me. We have shot it.
Evanix Ibex 2.
Yeah, and I'm looking now, and that is pretty straight. It might slightly be ever so off. Now here's some things This isn't something I normally find with Hawke, but it can happen. People will say, "Oh, it's centered here." Well, if the internals are not centered, this can be straight and your internals be off. So I always check it anyway. I try to get this straight, and then what I do is I look down the scope and I'm looking for my my vertical reticle to split the receiver in the middle. If it's to left or right, I know I'm not centered.
So you center it to that, not to
I try to do
the
both.
turret.
I try and see if my turrets are centered. The other thing, sometimes, this is less of an issue with the slotted mounts, but sometimes with weaver mounts, or not weaver, dovetail mounts, the mounts will actually can't. They actually won't sit straight, and then you're just all buggered because your scope's like off to the side, and it makes it even more of a challenge. Okay. I need to come back a little bit. There are tools and devices and plumb lines and all kinds of things you can use, wedges and all kinds of stuff that can help you get this like dialed in to be as perfect as you can. I don't have any of that handy with me at the moment, so we're gonna go this way. Now, once you've got it where you think it's good to go, you can always adjust it. If it's not perfect, just adjust it. Not a big deal.
Yeah, because if you're using like a plumb line, the gun still has to be.
Yeah, Steve's saying if you're using a plumb line, the gun still has to be perfect. So some people have rails, or they'll actually things they'll mount to the slotted rail and make sure you have a bubble level there, so your gun's level, and then you'll put a level here, and then that's level. But if your internals are off, it can be a bit of a challenge. So the way I do it, it's just the way I do it. I've gotten grief for the way I do it, but it's the way I do it. So there you go. I'm not going to tighten these down a lot. I'm just going to get some basic pressure on them. And I'll tell you why. I can't tell you how many times I've got it, what I think perfect. And I go tighten it all down and it's crooked. I'm like, son of a gun, what happened? It was perfect. And it's just because just a little extra tension one way or the other, it'll cause this to just move a little bit. It's frustrating. So the other thing we got to make sure we've got locked down are the mounts themselves on the rail. And I've got those screws over here. So we'll tighten these down. You don't need to wrench these, guys. You do not need to like put so much pressure you're bending your Allen key. They're not going to go anywhere. Check them every so often, you know. This gun's got a little recoil, but most PCPs, there's no recoil to matter as far as the mounts go. So you don't have to get super aggressive. It's going to be okay. Right, so this got too much of a gap. So we're going to try to even that up a little bit.
Compared to the one in the front?
No, to the one on the left. I try to have the gap here.
On either side match?
Yeah, as best I can. I don't know if you can see it, but this spacing here.
No, can't see it.
Okay,
Hold on, let me try and pick on camera one. No, can't see it.
So this gap here, I like to have match the other side. Okay, and again, I'm not really putting a ton of tension on it now.
Yeah, because it's inch pounds anyway.
Yeah.
Not foot pounds.
Steve's saying it's inch pounds, not foot pounds. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and do a little diagonal tightening. And then before I get to the front one, we'll make sure it didn't twist on us. Oh, I think that looks really good. Okay. Now with one of them fairly secured, it's a lot less likely this one's going to rotate on us. So we can go ahead and just try and make sure we're even-ish. And then if you notice, I'm trying to do like a X pattern. So we go down a little bit at a time. We're not trying to get aggressive. Like all the way down, you know, that's what can get you messed up. So you go a little bit at a time, be patient.
Hey, Rick,
Yes.
we need to mount a camera from above you.
Yeah, I've got a stand. We'll do that next year. We'll put one right there and have it come down. Okay. So that's pretty much it, guys. The scope's mounted. We got the mag in. That's good. Oh, our wheel. Will our wheel work? The wheel. Now, why would you want this wheel? Anybody know? Sue, why would you want this wheel?
Where does it go? And I'll tell you.
Good day. That's actually pretty smart. It goes... We have to still tighten this up. It goes on this. You ever try and adjust your focus?
Yes, you're going to bump your knuckles.
No. You have this, and it's really tough to turn sometimes.
And the wheel makes it
Wheel
easier.
makes it much easier. And it
What's
gives
it called? Is
a
that
side focus wheel.
okay? What's a sidewinder?
A Sidewinder is one of their scope brands.
Is it what?
One of their scope brands.
I'm still not hearing the second word you said.
Brands, one of their models.
Okay.
So, I've got this on. It actually has indices. Is that right? Indices? So that, I can't see, it's dark. Okay, so there's...
You just slide it over?
Yeah, you slide it. It's on there really hard. There's like a knurled ring, and it's got two little... I was gonna say word.
Neural?
Yes, like this. See these lines on this? Okay, that right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of a knurling. In other words, something you can grab hold of.
Okay.
So like
Is that a real word?
Yeah.
Knurled?
Knurled.
How do you spell that?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong dude. Okay. Okay. So, but when you rotate this guide here, the markers, the yardages match the little one.
Okay.
So you can see that more clear. Super easy to turn now.
Yeah, that's easier, for sure.
It's way, way nice.
Yeah.
Right? So now we've got the Airmax, and I'm going to have, when we go to shoot this, we'll have the folks come over and shoot it. I'll get it sighted in
Which
our next
folks?
video. All of you guys. All of you guys. We'll all take turns. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yay!
Rick, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Speak loud, because I have a mic on.
So for somebody new, what kind of tools would you suggest to mount scopes? Anything basic or?
Well, I use a set of Allen keys, but Hawke, with their mounts, they actually provide the little Allen keys with it.
Okay.
So everything to mount this scope came in the bag, or it came with the mounts, and everything to manage the scope itself came in the box. So it came with the little tools here. Doesn't always happen. Some of them use Torx, some of them use just Allens, like millimeter or metric Allens. I have a set that I've had for a very long time, this little yellow set, just a Stanley set. I just recently bought a really cool kit that's in my studio at the shop. That's got standard, metric, everything in between, Torx. It was like $40, and it's like a really nice little kit. I would actually bring that out here if we had some not dust, but not going to happen. But that's what I use. I don't know which camera gets it better.
Let me see. Camera 2? Yeah, that gets it much better.
Yeah. Like a lot of the Gamo scopes, they use torque bits. They use a T15, which is just another way to screw stuff in. So now I want to, excuse me, the reticle is tack sharp focus for me. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up so this doesn't flop around.
Did you say tack sharp?
Tack sharp.
Meaning it's
really
beautiful?
sharp. Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. There it is.
beautiful.
Beautiful. Okay. Okay, so in the bag here, we've got an extra battery, our scope, our manual, all that fun stuff. So if you guys see behind me, well, the beautifulness of my favorite airgun, right?
They can't see it with the barrel of that. It's
all right,
hiding
well, behind
some of
me
it.
is a whole wall of awesome scopeness that Hawke sent out to us. So thank you, Hawke. This is a scope I had sitting in my inventory for a while, and thought this would be a great time to go ahead and mount it. And I think I have the perfect gun.
I really like the look of, this is stupid, but I'm a woman, so
Okay.
hello. I really like the look of that wheel on the side.
It's nice. It when you shoot
It
with
adds
this,
something to the look of the gun to me.
and so many of the guns today, because the magazine, right? They have you loading from here.
Oh, yeah.
Not gonna happen.
Yep.
Right. So you lose that functionality, which is a shame because it does make everything a whole lot nicer.
Is there a reason, this may be another stupid question, is there a reason that magazines can't slide in from both sides? Because some of them I've seen do, some of them don't.
I think it's just manufacturer dependent.
So, because I would imagine for a lefty, it's easier if it goes in from the left.
Yeah.
Although I'm right-handed, but I shoot left eye. I'm left eye dominant, so I don't shoot left eye.
I think that some of them use the barrel to hold the mag, so they have like a little catch. So here, like if there's the barrel, well, there's the barrel, that'll work too. It goes in locks, and it can either way, depending on how they've designed the mag. They use the barrel as a stop, which means you can only go in one way. What Evanix did on their guns, it slides in and out. It just uses a ball detent. You see that?
Yes.
Like a little ball there.
Yeah.
It's a spring-loaded BB. And there's a little line, a little bump, little cavern, crevice, valley, whatever, place that slides into and just clicks into place, and then it's done. So there you go. Hopefully that video was useful and helpful to some folks. I wanted to kind of walk through the process. I have not used an Airmax with the side focus for, I don't know, many years, because the guns I've been shooting can't take it. And I'm like, this is the perfect time. Let's do it. Let's have fun with this. Let's make this happen. And I think this looks freaking cool. I don't know about you, Sue. You think it looks cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome. Ibex 2, 45 cal. We're going to be shooting this next. We'll take a break, let people get some water, do what they got to do. I'll sight this in maybe so that when we go to shoot, we can just start shooting and get some crony numbers. And I have another gun that we're going to be shooting. It's the Ibex original single shot in 357. So we'll be able to compare power, velocity, all that kind of fun stuff. We'll have two guns to shoot here, and we'll be back in about 20 minutes. So hope that was helpful. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Want to say a huge thank you to Hawke Optics. Today is Hawke Optics Day here at Airgun Expo 2025. So my hope, my plan, my expectation is everything we're shooting today, if it's got a scope on it, it's got Hawke glass. And I'm excited to do that. They have been a phenomenally good sponsor for many years. And when we came to do the expo this year, I'd sent out an email, and like the same day they reached out and said, hey, we're in. What do you need? And that is awesome. So huge thank you to those guys. If you're looking for really good glass for your airgun that's not going to break the bank, because their glass is really good and it's very well priced, I believe, in my opinion, check them out, hawkeoptics.com. Yeah, check them out, take a look. And again, huge thank you to New England Airgun for providing the Ibex 2. John had to go, but he's here in spirit, right? And if check out his store, he has these on the store if you guys are interested in these, and they got a special going on right now. If you buy a gun over $1,000, you get a free Sling Guru sling. So that's pretty cool. Memorial Day special. We're going to go. We'll see you guys later. We'll be back in a little bit. Thanks for watching.